Spider-Man, what a good dude. Where's the brand new day trailer? I don't know. What was Michael Jordan doing to that kid? I also don't know. What I do know is that Record Bunny, Christopher Brady, and Evan Sabella are absolute sigmas. Those are the 3 newest subscribers to the channel. And if you subscribe, you could potentially get a shout out and maybe be as cool as them. This video is probably titled "What if Marvel had the rights to Spider-Man" or something. It really has nothing to do with that. I was just trying to clickbait. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you how I would make a Spider-Man cinematic universe. Technically, I did already do this, but I was 15 and that was different because it was more of a Sony universe reimagining, where I couldn't use Peter Parker, so it followed Miles Morales and stuff. That's actually where the Marvel having the rights could come in. I'm just gonna go all out. Use Peter Parker, not worry about any rights or anything like that. One last thing, I'm starting up a sports channel. It's called Friday Night Lights. I'm gonna try to post every Friday night starting next week, so if you're into sports, I'm gonna leave that linked in the description. Alright, now into my Spider-Man cinematic universe. Okay, I changed my mind. This is actually gonna be a Marvel rights MCU thing. It's let's pretend that this universe is like a subset of the MCU. Spider-Man gets his own mini-universe inside of the Mega Universe. Obviously, we're just starting off with Spider-Man Homecoming, and this is gonna be the least creative part of the video because it's mainly just the exact same movie. This is definitely a hot take, but even though Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man, Homecoming is tied with No Way Home as my favorite Spider-Man movie. The changes I would make, however, Liz is not in the movie, or she could be in the movie, I don't really care. The point is, her role is replaced by Gwen Stacy, or Gwen Toombs, or whatever you want to call her, because she's still gonna be the Vulture's daughter. That reveal is one of the best parts of the movie. Ned is also replaced. He's replaced by Randy Robertson, so basically we're just making Ned black. Everything else is basically the same. Vulture's the main villain, Shocker's in there with a cooler suit this time. Tinkerer's in there too, and at some point in the film, he's gonna mention somebody named Miles Warren. The next movie would not be titled Spider-Man Junior Prom. That is such a bad title, I hate it so much. But I couldn't think of anything, and I was not about to use one of those fan-made Spider-Man Home Sweet Home. That shit pisses me off. Genuinely shut the hell up. Anyways, like that awful title suggests, this film would follow Peter Parker in his junior year of high school. Speaking of, I just wanted to mention that a lot of people say new iterations of Spider-Man shouldn't start out in high school, which I kind of disagree with. The whole allure of Spider-Man is that readers see themselves in him, which, yeah, obviously not all readers and watchers are teenagers, but the problem isn't him starting in high school. The problem is each iteration of the character being cut so short that the audience isn't able to grow up with him. I think that Spider-Man adaptations should all fundamentally work as life stories for Peter Parker. If we have a bunch of iterations of the character that all start in high school, but, start at different times, and then slowly grow up and mature, each generation will have their own Spider-Man that represents their respective age. I mean, obviously, you can still have adaptations like the new Ultimate that starts out as adults. That's fine. The entire point of that comic was that he had those early years as Spider-Man taken away from him. But that's the reason I like MCU Spider-Man so much. We're actually getting to see him grow up, and it just so happens that this is the Spider-Man that reflects my age the best. That was a tangent though, let's get back to the plot. This film would follow Peter trying to impress MJ, all while being hunted down by the Scorpion. I think it would be good to have Scorpion as the main villain of the second MCU Spider-Man movie, especially after the Homecoming post-credit scene. I also would have this look a lot different than Far From Home. That was probably my least favorite Spider-Man movie, which is kind of crazy because I love MCU Spider-Man, and Mysterio is my favorite Spidey villain. Mac Gargan would of course be hunting down Spider-Man due to getting scarred on the ferry, so he has that vendetta. Peter teams up with Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, to take him on because he learns that they were given their powers or upgrades by the same person. Yeah, Black Cat would have cat powers or something in this. Felicia tells Peter that Mac was broken out of prison and given his abilities by Miles Warren, also known as the Jackal. The climax of the film takes place during Junior Prom. Dude, fuck the title, seriously, it's so bad. And Peter is taking MJ to the dance, but of course, he has to dip and is not able to tell her why. If you think that this is repetitive to Homecoming, I really don't care. This is not a real movie. It's a bad pitch on YouTube that's going to get no more than 1,000 views. Get a life, buddy. Anyways, Peter ditches MJ, but she sees him meeting up with Felicia Hardy, and obviously she assumes the worst, which breaks her heart. Spider-Man and Black Cat have their final fight with Scorpion, but it doesn't have a good ending. Scorpion refrains from killing Peter for now, but he escapes after extracting some of his DNA to return to Miles Warren. Felicia ditches Peter, and he tries to return to prom, but MJ chews him out. Basically, she says that he acts like nothing is his fault. He acts like he's constantly screwed over by the world, but he doesn't look around to see that everyone around him could feel the same way, and they could feel the same way because of him. That may sound harsh, but sort of be true for Peter in this movie. Peter and MJ both go home severely disappointed, and it's revealed that MJ has a highly abusive father. The film then ends on a sour note with everything in the gutter. Next up is not a Spider-Man project, it's a Lizard special presentation. This would of course follow Dr. Connors, who desperately wants to find a way to regrow his arm in order to fully be there for his son. Which, that actually kind of confuses me. Why is that always the thing? Why can't he just be a dad with one arm? You can't play catch, I guess? I mean, you could still throw the ball. Catching might be a little harder. I don't know. If you're a dad with one arm, drop your input in the comments. Anyways, Kurt isn't able to come up with the formula, so he turns to Miles Warren, who promises he can help. Obviously, Miles was capping his ass off and turns him into a giant lizard, which, that sucks. This special would be a dark tragedy. Kurt would constantly be flipping back and forth from Lizard to Dr. Connors. It wouldn't be a permanent transformation at first. He looks for a cure and hides away from his family, but nothing works, and by the end of the special, he is permanently transformed into the Lizard. The third Spider-Man movie probably wouldn't be called Spider-Man Graduation, because it's not as bad as Junior Prom, but it's still kind of lame. Once again, I just didn't want to go with one of the Spider-Man home run. What does that even mean? What does that title entail? This film would obviously follow Peter about to graduate high school, and it would focus on him taking on Miles Warren, the Jackal. For the physical threats, Jackal would unleash a slew of genetically altered animal hybrid villains. This would include Scorpion, Lizard, Rhino, Grizzly, and Tarantula. Following up on the DNA cliffhanger from the last movie, Jackal would find out and confirm that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and it would be revealed that the spider that bit Peter was genetically altered by Miles Warren, so Miles would refer to himself as Peter's father and have this creepy, obsessive relationship with him throughout the film. As for MJ, she directly mirrors Peter in this movie. MJ is really different in this version of MCU Spider-Man. She's more of the outgoing party animal. This, just like Peter being Spider-Man, is shown to be a mask, although, just like Peter being Spider-Man, she says it's not a mask, it's the real her, and she uses the real her as a distraction. Like I said for the previous film, she has an abusive father, and as the movie goes along, she mends her relationship with Peter, and we see that Peter is an escape for her. He's the first person who actually seems to care about her, and he's the first best friend she's ever had. There's even a moment where Peter stands up for MJ, confronting her dad. Peter and MJ both essentially go through the same arc in the movie, standing up to the men that claim to be their father. Well, MJ's dad actually is her father, but you know what I mean. They learn that their origins don't define them. At the end of the movie, Peter tells MJ that they have the power to choose who they become. And with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Responsibility to become someone who leaves a positive impact on people. But in the post-credit scene, just like in Far From Home, we get that video revealed of Miles Warren leaking Peter's identity and framing him before he dies. Although, I don't exactly know how that would work considering the Jackal was never a hero figure, but just pretend it makes sense. That leads us into Spider-Man No Way Home, which I just wanted to include because it's absolutely epic and awesome. This would be just the same exact movie, except it's the fourth MCU Spider-Man film instead of the third. It takes place directly after the third movie, so we still have that dilemma of the identity reveal messing up Peter's college applications and all that, and it ends in the exact same way, with Peter all alone, nobody remembering who he is. Next up, we have the Black Cat miniseries. This would follow Felicia Hardy and be a deep dive into the street-level crime of New York City. We would see villains like Kingpin, Silvermane, Crime Master, Hammerhead, Mr. Negative, but the main villain would be Tombstone, who Black Cat goes after due to him being related to the death of her father. It would be set up that each of these villains would have their own sectors of crime and their own sections of the city where they operate. By the end, Black Cat defeats Tombstone, and Mr. Negative annexes his sector, and it's revealed that Martin Lee is going after it all, seeking to replace Wilson Fisk as the kingpin of crime. The last project I'm going to go over is Spider-Man Brand New Day, which would pretty much be exactly the same as it was in my Brand New Day pitch video, but nobody really watched that, so I guess I'll just re-explain. There would be one major difference though. Since this is the 5th Spider-Man movie instead of the 4th, it takes place after Secret Wars and follows Peter in the symbiote suit. Alright, so for a recap, Peter's all alone, he's lost himself and his purpose, he beats up criminals to distract himself and is more violent due to the symbiote. When he is Peter Parker, he spends his time either studying at Empire State University or working at feasts to honor Aunt May, which is where he meets Martin Lee. Mr. Negative would be the main villain and run the Inner Demon Gang, a gang attempting to take over after Wilson Fisk's policies created chaos in the streets of New York. Frank Castle is hunting down the gang and is dead set on killing Lee after finding out that he's using Feast as a front for trafficking and is behind the disappearances of hundreds of teens that are homeless or from underdeveloped neighborhoods. This is literally the exact same script from the Brand New Day pitch, by the way. It's not lazy writing, it's just time management. Peter also bonds with Bruce Banner, who is, when I say bond, I don't mean like in the symbiote way. Like they just have like a good relationship. Okay, who is Bruce Banner's at ESU for like a week-long guest. What bonding in a symbiote way? How do you even do that with a person? Okay, that's disgusting. He's at ESU for like a week-long guest lecture. Bruce can tell that Peter is feeling a lot of complex emotions, and he attempts to counsel him, teaching him to control his anger and become stable. As Spider-Man, he crosses paths with Frank after also going after Mr. Negative and the Inner Demon Gang. They're both reluctant to, but eventually they team up after realizing they both have assets that the other needs to stop Martin Lee. They have to fight first, though, because that would be sick, and pay homage to the Punisher's first appearance. At first, Peter is strongly against Frank's killing, creating a huge moral rift and conflict between the two. But as the film goes on, Frank almost corrupts Peter in his broken state, leading him to become incredibly brutal, beating members of the gang to near death. That's when Frank realizes that the members of the gang are the trafficked teens. Lee has used his powers to alter their minds and emotionally control them to do his bidding. Frank's no different. He turned Peter, this kid who was broken and needed guidance, into a vengeful machine. Peter reminds him of his son, and Frank realizes that if his son were still alive, the last thing he would want is for him to turn out like his father. So why turn Spider-Man into the Punisher? Frank gets through to Peter, finally approaching him not as the Punisher, but as Frank Castle, the father, a man who comes out for the very first time since his family died. He tells him that he can't turn back. He's already embraced the Punisher, and no matter how hard he tried, he would never be able to shake that, but it's not too late for Peter. Peter breaks and confesses that he wants to live. He doesn't want to be sucked away into an abyss as the mask takes over, but he doesn't know how to move on after he's lost everything. Frank says that sometimes there is no bright future to look forward to. Sometimes you truly have lost everything, and while fighting might not change things, sitting there and accepting it definitely won't either. You only have two options. Let the darkness consume you, or move forward. Do something about it. It truly is just black and white. With a changed mindset, Peter is finally ready to take on Mr. Negative, but that's when Martin Lee somehow alters Bruce Banner's brain chemistry to bring back the Savage Hulk. Spider-Man and the Punisher team up to fight Savage Hulk on the streets of New York City, and they somehow get through to him, and then the three of them team up to take down Mr. Negative, and that's it. Alright, that's where I'm gonna stop, mainly because the only other idea I have is just eventually giving Mac Gargan the symbiote and making him Venom, but yeah, that's it. Just FYI, this will probably be the last video I make that feels like the previous ones. I'm still gonna make pitch videos and maybe some universe restructuring videos and stuff. But I'm gonna start branching out and doing stuff that has more variety, is more stylized, and represents me as a creator better. I do expect views to plummet after I do, but the point is to change things while the channel is still small, so I can build up my identity as something I'm actually proud of instead of just being stuck forever. But yeah, I just thought I'd let y'all know so that the channel doesn't just start feeling completely different out of nowhere. Anyways, subscribe to this channel, check out and subscribe to Friday Night Lights, that's starting up soon, and be a snake on a rake, not a bee in a tree. Bye, I love you.